Israel is standing up to the same Muslim terrorists that would seek to kill every Jew and every Christian in the United States if they could.
Yeah.
We don't all share the same values,
Yeah.
and not all cultures are equal. And if anyone needed a lesson, that lesson should have come on October 7th. When a Muslim from Gaza went into Israel and called his parents to say,
I
wouldn't you
killed
be
10.
proud of me? I just killed 10 Jews.
Right.
And the mother cries, not tears of
This is
shame,
joy, right?
but tears of
Proud.
joy.
Hi everyone, this is another episode of Golda's Girls. My name is Carla from Welsum. I'm a psychologist and relationship coach, and my co-host for today is Rachel Rappaport, former book publisher and entrepreneur. And today we have a special guest, Wendy Fine. Welcome, Wendy. We are so excited to have you, and we are looking forward to a wonderful conversation we will have. So, Rachel, please introduce our guest.
Okay, Congressman Randy Fine was elected to represent Florida's 6th Congressional District in April 2025 and serves on the House Foreign Affairs and Education and Workforce Committee. He's built a career as a successful entrepreneur, founding and running businesses in retail, technology, and hospitality. He has led the fight in the Florida legislature to make Florida the safest state in America for Jewish families and other people of faith. His colleagues at national Jewish organizations honored him with the nickname the Hebrew Hammer for his work opposing terrorism and combating anti-Semitism. Welcome, Randy. It's so nice to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
You're quite welcome. I'm very happy to have you with us today. I know we have some time constraints because you've got a vote to get to, so get right into it. Firstly, I wanted to ask, since Israel is constantly facing ongoing security threats from terrorist regimes like Iran and Syria, how do you see the U.S.-Israel relationship evolving?
Well, I think Israel's our best ally in the world because Israel is fighting wars that we don't have to. I mean, no better example of this than Iran. Iran was attempting to build a nuclear weapon and an intercontinental ballistic missile that could deliver that nuclear weapon to the United States. They've long had the capability to fire missiles that can hit Israel. We saw that during the last 2 years. They even have missiles that can make it to Europe, but they don't have missiles that can make it to the United States. So why the focus? It's because they want to threaten the United States. And so on our behalf, Israel went to war with Iran. We helped a little bit, but the vast majority of the fighting was done by Israel. Israel is standing up to the same Muslim terrorists that would seek to kill every Jew and every Christian in the United States if they could. And so I think the values of Israel are the same as the values of the United States. And it makes sense because the United States was founded on a bedrock of Judeo-Christian values, which were developed in Israel thousands of years ago. So I think it's an incredibly important relationship, and it's one that I'm very proud to help foster and facilitate while I'm in Congress.
I wish everybody thought about that in the same way as you do. Thank you. Yeah, maybe one day that will change.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. What steps do you think America should take to confront anti-Semitism and while also protecting American civil liberties?
Well, I think the way we confront anti-Semitism is by dealing with the anti-Semites. And so let me start with there's two kinds of anti-Semites in the United States. There are Americans and then there are foreigners. Let me start with the latter. If you're a guest in the United States, you're some sort of Muslim fanatic from another country, we should send you the hell home. And so I think we should be deporting all of the anti-Semites who are here, who are in our universities, who are working in our country, who are so-called refugees and illegal immigrants. Time to send them all home. That's that group. But what about American anti-Semites, people who actually were born and raised here? Well, you're allowed to be an idiot, and we shouldn't be afraid to call you an idiot. But what we can do is we can pass policies like we've passed in Florida that say anti-Semitism has to be dealt with the same way racism does, that we cannot discriminate in how we deal with our discrimination. And we can also put a fine line between words and actions. You have the right to say whatever you want, but you don't have the right to graffiti. You don't have the right to litter. You don't have the right to attack people. And so we can crack down on the conduct that is criminal without getting into the speech. That's what we've done in Florida. That's why Florida is the safest place in America to be Jewish, because I spent 8.5 years in the legislature, and that was a big part of what I focused on.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. It is also in the terminology of fighting anti-Semitism on itself. It doesn't, even if you forbid certain things, which the ones you mentioned, I totally agree with, people suddenly don't start to love Jews. No, it is like that innate, inherited anti-Semitism is like so ineradicable. And that's a bit, yeah, that's very disappointing for me in my life, actually, to see that. And we came to America to run away from Europe for this reason. And here it is again. Hello. Yeah.
Well, I would say it's always been here. Look, anti-Semitism is the oldest form of hate. I dealt with it in the 1980s as a kid growing up in Kentucky. I think what is different now is the level of outward facing anti-Semitism. People used to be afraid. You know, the Ku Klux Klan used to wear pillowcases over their heads, so nobody actually knew who they were. Now the Muslim terrorists have taken the pillowcases off their heads and they've wrapped them around their necks with these little terror rags that they call keffiyehs. So now they're quite proud to be bigots and racists. And I think we just need to be willing to fight back. And that's certainly what I do in Congress. And I'm going to continue to do that.
Yeah, wonderful.
And the thing is that, when we talk about extreme Muslim behavior, radical Muslim ideology, it doesn't just affect the Jews, it affects everybody. And I think some people just think it's a Jewish problem, but it's not.
Well, can I challenge what you said though? Because the way you've described it is part of the problem. You described it as radical, extreme Muslim ideology. That is wrong. The problem is mainstream Muslims. It's not radical. Radical is used to minimize the problem, to imply that it's this tiny, teeny tiny little fringe, but the overwhelming majority just wish to live in peace with us. You know, like the Somalis in Minneapolis, who are fantastic citizens in the United States, who've really done a great job of finding freedom and opportunity with us. No, the radical Muslims are the ones who don't want to kill us. It is the mainstream that does. And we need to stop subscribing to this political correctness where we're afraid to call evil by its name. Now, the part of what you said that is correct is this. It starts with the Jews. It doesn't end with the Jews.
Right.
We're simply the first target. And you can see it. Look, the same people who hate the Jews, they want to kill the Christians too. There's not that many of us. There are fewer Jews in the world than there are people living in Beijing, China. We're an easy target, and we're one that creates a lot of envy because we punch above our weight. We're a small percentage of the world, yet we're a large percentage of sort of the success of the world. And that creates a lot of envy. But it only starts with the Jews. Anti-Semitism is the harbinger of societal destruction. And we need to make clear the same when they're done with the Jews, they're coming for the Christians. And we need to make sure that our Christian brothers and sisters understand that. I think many of them do.
I think they do. There's that saying, first they go for the Saturday people and then they come for the Sunday people.
I think that the young generation doesn't get it that way. I think they are in general in America so influenced by progressive ideology and also fed by Qatar and all the things they don't know the history well in general. And I think they don't get it. They get that.
But it's not just Qatar. It is a societal effort by our enemies like China to destabilize us by creating dissension from within. Their goal is to destroy us through infighting. But look, I went to Israel in, I believe it was August or July with my colleagues, and most of my freshman colleagues are Christian, so they took us to many of the famous sites in Christianity. And I will tell you, I think what made the most profound effect on my colleagues was going to the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem, which is where they believe Jesus Christ was born. What made a profound effect on them was not going to the birthplace of Jesus. What made a profound effect on them was how the Muslims who were in charge of Bethlehem took care of the birthplace of Jesus, as opposed to how Christian sites were taken care of when Israel and Jews were in charge. They were astonished, they were repulsed, they were disgusted by how the Muslims treated their holy site in Bethlehem. And I think it was a very stark reminder that, the Muslims don't like them any more than they like the Jews.
Right.
No, and there's no respect for other religions or
No.
other philosophies. No. So when you mentioned the mainstream, the biggest group, the silent Muslims, let's say it is 70%.
They're not silent. We need to stop doing this.
No, but I thought you
They're
said
not
that.
silent.
I thought you said that they allow to happen. The big majority of the Muslims allow it to happen, and they also speak in the same way.
They don't allow it to happen. They agree with it. This is
Yeah.
the fun. We have a very hard time as a society
I'm
realizing
Yeah.
that we are not one giant human family.
Yeah.
We don't all share the same values.
Yeah.
And not all cultures are equal. And if anyone needed a lesson, that lesson should have come on October 7th. When a Muslim from Gaza went into Israel and called his parents to say, wouldn't you be proud of me? I just killed 10 Jews.
Right.
And the mother cries, not tears of shame,
Joy. Right.
but tears of joy.
Right.
They are not like us. And we need to accept that there is evil in this world and we must fight it every day. So we need to stop calling it radical Islam. We need to stop calling it Islam. It does not mean all Muslims are terrorists. They are not, but they are the radicals. The mainstream supports the terrorists, and you can see it in the polling.
Yeah.
You can see it that if there was an election in Gaza, Hamas would win.
Right.
It is not there's this term of suicidal empathy. I think we are in this situation of suicidal delusion. People are so determined to whitewash mainstream Islam that they are literally willing to die in order to facilitate their delusion. And that's what it is. It is a delusion.
Yeah. I agree.
Sorry?
No, go.
I was going to say, so with the rise of Muslim terror across the West, Americans are worried about the immigration policies and whether they're ensuring successful integration into Western values. And so what do you believe an effective integration strategy should look like?
Sure. Well, they have every reason to worry because we have failed. We have allowed our country to be invaded by those who hate it. And you can see that in New York, where the new mayor of New York was elected not by natural born Americans. He was elected by people who just got off the boat. And the people who are coming here should share our values. If people who just arrived are voting differently than people who were born here, it means we've screwed up our immigration process. I'm not saying they should be liberal or conservative, but they should share the values of the place that they are coming. So our immigration system is broken. Forget illegal immigration. I'm talking about legal immigration. The people who are coming here should love America. They should share American values. They should wish to assimilate, and they should want to add value from the start. Go to work and help our economy. That is not what our immigration system does.
And learn English.
It's bringing in people who hate America, who do not share American values, who have no desire to assimilate, and have no desire to add value. And nowhere is this more obvious than in the Muslim Somalian community in Minnesota, where we are seeing in stark display what that all means.
Yeah,
that's a real glaring example. I want to ask you a question about I have some Canadian Jewish friends who are snowbirds, And they were absolutely terrified living in
Sure.
Canada because it's a big disaster there. The Canadian Liberal government supports Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, and it's openly anti-Semitic. They would love to leave Canada and move to the US. They've reached out to the State Department and the envoy, the special envoy for anti-Semitism. They've gotten no response. So, and they want to know whether it's possible to issue a special visa or green card for Canadian Jews, and there's a lot of them that want to escape Canada and come to the US to be safe.
Well, what I would say is, they can obviously reach out to our office and we can see what we can do to help them. But there is a place that now exists since 1948 where Jews can go where they don't feel safe. There's a country that was developed for this exact purpose, and that country is the state of Israel. And so
Yeah.
my obvious advice to them would be make Aliyah and go to Israel. I mean, that's what I would recommend because they don't need anybody's permission. They can get on a
Right.
plane.
No, 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 absolutely.
I agree with that. I agree with that. What surprised me, and I say the same thing to people all the time, but what I didn't realize so badly is that a lot of Israelis want to leave because they are done with living in the fear and what will happen in the future. And so there is a group that leaves and there's a group that's coming. And where is it more fearful, in America or in Israel? I'd rather die in Israel, to be honest, than in America by one or another anti-Semitic stuff. But it's a
Well,
crazy.
I think they come to Florida where they feel safe. So,
You
but
want
I
them or
don't know that
not?
there's
You
a
want
lot of
them to come?
Israelis that are leaving Israel to move to the United Islamic Kingdom or Francistan or Canada these days. But I mean, a lot of them want to
That's,
come to
yeah.
Florida because Florida is a safe place to be.
Yeah, I have it with a few Dutch Jewish friends, the same thing. They cannot go anywhere and they might go to Israel, so that's everybody's choice. It's sometimes, yeah, it's always easier said than done, I know, but I think it will be great. Are you moving to Israel any day in your life too, you would think, Randy?
No, I mean I'm an
Right here,
American
no, I know.
congressman,
Yeah.
so but I will tell you, we were actively talking about it if Kamala Harris had won. I mean, the Democratic Party has embraced mainstream Islam and all the terrorism that comes with it. Look, they
Yeah.
lionize terrorists like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, and if Kamala Harris had won, we were not. It was not clear to us that Jews would be safe in the United States. So
Yeah.
I'm here to fight because I believe the fate of the world rests with the success of America. And while the radical left and mainstream Islam wants to destroy it, I'm going to continue to fight to make sure America remains the beacon of hope that it has always been. So no, I have no plan. I like to visit Israel, but I have no plans to become Israeli or move there.
Are you concerned about the ultra right in America as much as the radical left?
No, I mean, I'm concerned about it. Let me make no mistake. I mean, you have, but I think most of what you see on the right is either the same kind of idiots that I dealt with when I was a kid, or it's all fake. It's paid for by Qatar and China and Iran. But mainstream conservatives are overwhelmingly pro-Israel. They're overwhelmingly not anti-Semitic. It really is a fringe movement. Now it's a growing movement, and there are real issues. You see, idiots like Tucker Carlson, but it is certainly not the same level of
Anyone?
issue as it is on the left. We have here's how I summarize it. I'm in a chamber of about 220 Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives. Two of them are or were anti-Semitic. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey. We
Yeah.
got Marjorie Taylor Greene to quit. And Thomas Massey, the president does not want to see return. So there were two anti-Semites in Congress, and Donald Trump wanted to get rid of them both. He hasn't wanted to get rid of anybody else. So that should tell you something about where the Republican Party stands as it relates to anti-Semitism. We're
Mhm.
trying to root it out.
Yeah, I know that. I was more curious about your personal opinion about this, but it is a beautiful answer, and
It's
it's
an issue. It's an issue. Don't get me wrong, and we have
yeah,
to fight it. But we are doing what the Democrats could have done 10 or 20 or 30 years ago when anti-Semitism crept into their party. Look, I was never a Democrat, even when I was a kid. I never was a liberal. I never, but I never thought Democrats were Jew haters. But that's clearly not the case anymore. And that was a conscious decision that their leadership made to minimize and poo-poo and not take it seriously. And now, being anti-Semitic is a mainstream Democratic position.
I think it has also to do with power because if you bring in all those people that will vote Democrat because, so there you go. It's
Yeah,
it's very dirty. It's so far away from the idea of what America is, right? Yeah,
sure.
that's really well.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, in your view, what role should the U.S. play in defending Western values like freedom of speech, religious liberty, both here in the U.S. and with allies like Israel?
Well, we're the beacon of that. I mean, we are the place where those issues, where the Bill of Rights was created, and I think that fight is more important than ever. I mean, you look at what has happened in Europe, where the thought police is open. You make the wrong post on social media, and in what I now call the United Islamic Kingdom, you get arrested. You look at France, where they cancel New Year's Eve because of their importation of mainstream Muslims. So I mean, I think there are real issues out there, but the U.S. continues to be the beacon, and we need to continue to do that. Look, I don't like all these anti-Semites, but I don't want to deplatform them. I don't want to tell them they can't talk and say what they want. It's when you start to shut down speech that you have real problems, which is why I'm so grateful for platforms like X, which, despite the incredible anti-Semitism that exists on it, you can also still get to the truth, which you can't on so many of these others.
That's so true. I heard lately that in England, 12,000 people are behind bars because of the media post they made in social
That's
media.
right. But Muslim terrorists can march through the streets yelling death to the Jews, and that's a-okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what happens in Canada too. No
Yeah.
protection for the Jews there, but the Muslims have free reign.
Well, part of the problem in places like Canada and the United Islamic Kingdom is they've let in so many of these people that now they're a meaningful voting bloc. And by the way, we're now seeing this in the United States. Why did Tim Walz allow all of this fraud in Minnesota? It's because they can vote for him.
Yes.
And so when you allow these people in and you make them citizens and you give them voting rights, then you become captive to their third world ways. And that's why we've just got to step up and do the right thing and get rid of these people.
Yeah, absolutely. How hard will that be to increase that? What is the status quo of that at the moment?
Well, I think it's going to be hard, but I don't think there's a choice. I
Yeah.
mean, we are under foreign invasion. I think America's last best hope is Donald Trump. And we need to double down and continue doing what we're doing, sealing the border, which we've done, deporting every single illegal immigrant, sending home foreign visitors who do not love America. These will not only make America safer, this will reduce our budget deficit, and it'll make America more affordable as millions of people go home who shouldn't be here in the first place and who are driving up our housing costs and our healthcare costs. So we don't have a choice. Is it going to be easy? No, but the alternative is the collapse of the United States.
What is so interesting to me that in the Netherlands, this happened already 30 years ago. Not that they kicked out Muslims, but if you had no reason to be there, you had to go out. Boom. And there is now so much opposition. Of course, it's sad if it has to, it is about someone that is a good person, is working hard, has done all the things, but have not been able to get this paper through asylum, or in a different way. That those people, some of them, yeah, of course, that's the only people you see in the mainstream media, right? But the idea is like, I really agree very much with you that if you cannot embrace the values of America, of respect, and also learning English, I think would be great. I mean, you hear my grammar issues. I speak several languages, so I'll never be perfect in English. So that's it. But I think that is something the respect for your host. Yeah, you
You
know,
you shouldn't be able to vote if you can't speak English.
I,
And you
yeah,
certainly shouldn't be able to become a citizen. I
and
I
it,
think we adopted this insane view that diversity is our strength. Well, diversity has become suicidal. And
yeah.
when you import the third world, you become the third world. Again, once you accept the fact that not all cultures are equal, doesn't mean that not all races are equal. I'm not saying that. White people, black people, there's no innate superiority in one or the other, but culture is different. And there are
Yes.
cultures that lionize freedom and responsibility, and there are those that don't. And we used to be okay making these statements. There used to be cultures that said eating people was okay. Well, we said, you know what? This is not a good culture. There used to be cultures that said child sacrifice was okay. And we said, that's not okay either. But somehow we've lost our ability to differentiate between good and evil. And I'm just trying to bring that back.
People forget that culture is made by people, made by the value system they created one day and let it be there. Which you can see in the Muslim countries, which none of them are democratic, for instance. Yeah,
Sure.
that's so very much true. So I want to be a bit mindful of our time for you because you have so much else to do. I love how you are driven about this topic, and it's great to listen to you. Is there anything that you would like to share that you would like to know? You told
No,
about
it's your time.
all the different, no, all the difficult things that we
I could talk all day, but I mean, I'm happy. I
can talk a
appreciate what
little
you
bit
all
more
are
about
doing. And
something that you feel like, wow, that might be, I would love to share that. Is there something else, there's a question about distinguishing between peaceful religious communities and radical ideologies that oppose American values. What can we do about that? Well, you mentioned that a little bit already. Is there anything else that you say? What could be the other than voting? Most of the time, people cannot have, don't
Well, I
have.
think we need to lock down immigration. I think we've sealed the border. Now we need to deport all of the illegals. And then we need to be taking a look at the millions of legal immigrants that we have in this country. I also think as we do that, we need to look at our budget deficit and our debt and start to make cuts. Look, if people want to come to America for freedom and opportunity, that's a discussion that I'm willing to have. But if you're a Somalian looking to come here and open up a leering center and go buy a Rolls Royce and a private jet, stay back in Somalia. We don't want that here.
So that Leering Center was really supposed to be a learning center,
Yes.
wasn't
They
it?
forgot the N.
But it was ironic how the N
Because
disappeared.
it's all a scam. Because this is
Yeah.
all a scam.
No
All
kids
it's all a
there.
scam. Legal immigration has become a scam.
Yeah.
It's so sad. And in such a short time, I saw a few years ago a video, an interview with, oh my God, with Chuck Schumer. I saw a few years ago an interview with Chuck Schumer, like in 2014, 2015, and he spoke exactly like how we speak now. And that changed over time and totally the opposite. It's
He's not
bizarre.
speaking
Good
on
we have
that.
those videos.
Because he is adapting to the mainstream Democrat thought, which lionizes mainstream Islam, which has become anti-Semitic and anti-American. And
Yeah,
I really feel like it's not Republican Party versus Democratic Party. It's I love America versus I hate America.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's so very sad. Okay, well, we come to the end. We usually have somebody that we don't like or a group of people we don't like at all. Call it Jew haters, anti-Semites, whatever. So I give you the honor first, Rachel. Who would you share today?
Okay, so the anti-Semite that I picked, he's Hungarian from the radical right-wing party called Jobbik. I think that's how it's pronounced. He's a politician named Marton Gyöngyösi or something like that. He criticized Hungary, his foreign ministry for supporting Israel. And he said, and I quote, "Now is the time to assess how many people there are of Jewish origin here, and especially in the Hungarian parliament, who represent a certain national security risk of Hungary." So when you start counting Jews, I think that's a really scary, big problem. And it smells of pre-Holocaust
They have
times.
some memories with that for sure. Yeah. Yeah, they do that in the Netherlands too, through universities and professors and Israelis and your membership and B'nai B'rith and all that. Yeah, great to know. Well, Randy, what would be yours?
Well, mine, I called him the most dangerous anti-Semite in America back in October. I stand by it today. It's Tucker Carlson. I don't know that he's as dangerous today as he was because I think he's getting more and more fringe and more kooky, and people are seeing through it. But Tucker Carlson's constant demonization of Israel and Jews, the kinds of people he brings on to his show, and leveraging a 20-year reputation to foment anti-Semitism, I think has been very dangerous. And I've not been afraid to call it out. And Tucker doesn't like it. It apparently freaks him out that a freshman congressman is willing to take him on. But I think he's the most dangerous anti-Semite in America. Less dangerous now than he was in October, but still dangerous.
Do you think he's more dangerous than Candace Owens?
I think people think she's an idiot. I mean, I think people think she's like a deranged lunatic. I don't think anyone really takes her seriously. Tucker is remembered as the most influential conservative thinker in America when he had his primetime show on
Yeah,
Fox.
yeah,
Candace never had that kind of reputation. And
yeah,
while Tucker has gone as crazy as Candace has,
yeah,
he has that reputation that he still trades on. So I
yeah,
think she's seen as a lunatic.
yeah.
And he's been around for a lot longer than her.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. And people have known about him for a long time.
Yeah.
She influenced,
Most people remember what I call Tucker 1.0, the Tucker of 5, 6, 7 years ago. And so they're shocked when
yeah.
they learn of the Tucker today. So when they hear Tucker said X, Y, and Z, they take it seriously. They don't realize the guy's just lost his mind.
I think Candace in her own community has the same thing. A lot of people that I hear or see on social media like rejoice for her, and but that's what the case is. Okay, mine is not so much pure anti-Semitic, but gearing toward or allowing it, and that is the situation that a foreign state or country, such as Qatar, is able to give so much money to so many universities. And I think that really impacts the freedom of thinking and handling and organizing tremendously. And I'm wondering, why is it possible that foreign countries or states or groups can fund so much money
We're
to
working on it.
universities?
We're
Sorry?
working on it. We're working on it.
Great. But I think it's so ridiculous. You can really realize they have such a hidden or clear agenda,
Yeah.
and that money is accepted, and the results is, well, we know that. The crazy,
Qatar is clearly a problem.
yeah, absolutely. And I think 300,000 people only live there, if I am not mistaken. So
It's
now
a
it's
problem.
time for the good news. Rachel, there you go.
Okay, since I talked about the Hungarian anti-Semite, I'm going to talk about a Hungarian politician, member of parliament, whose name is Dominic Tarczynski. He is a staunch supporter of Israel, very pro-Israel. He thinks Israel needs to defend itself and do whatever it needs to do to take care of the Jewish people and everybody, the citizens of Israel. In Poland, they cannot promote fascism and communism by wearing symbols on T-shirts or clothes. Like it can't have Hitler or Stalin, so they can't display that sort of thing. So anyway, he is a very outspoken, staunch supporter for Israel. So that's why I chose him.
Wonderful. Randy.
Well, I'm going to go with the leader of my party and the leader of my country, Donald Trump, because, America, people always say that Israel's never had a better friend. And the prime minister who I was with last week said that when I was with him, that Israel's had no better friend and no better president than Donald Trump. But I actually think American Jews have had no better friend than Donald Trump. With the things that he has done at our universities, the way that he has stood up to Israel, the way that he has stood up to Iran, I think that the fact that he has made it such a priority of his administration, I think, and the way that he has gone after the two anti-Semites that serve in my chamber, I think President Trump is my hero when it comes to fighting anti-Semitism.
Yeah, and I can see that. And it is a very big sad thing that a lot of Jews do not want to see that they're totally blind to some facts. You don't have to like everything of somebody. That's always the case. That's fine.
Yeah.
You cannot marry everybody too, right? But to be so one-sided, I find it terrible. I wish there were more parties in America than just two. I don't like that oppositional stuff. So my hero is really a hero, and it is Nick Shirley, and you know who that is.
Mhm.
And I hear that he now has police protection 24/7. OMG. I mean, but what a great guy, and amazing that he did it. And let's hope that it all will work out the way it should. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Randy, and Rachel, of course. But it was a pleasure to listen to you. You have a wonderful way of speaking. Boom. Very good. And thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you. I got the nickname for a reason, so your listeners got to love
Yeah,
it.
I remember that my husband called my kids now and then hammerheads. So it was like, oh, and he's Israeli, so I think I get why that's coming.
Well, thank you guys.
Randy,
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity.
thank you so much for accepting my request
Of
for
course.
the interview. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Take care and good luck with the voting.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye. We have a small request, and you probably know what it is about. But we have this very interesting situation that 91% of our returning viewers do not subscribe, but they are returning, so they must like it. And that would be great if that is you, if you will be so kind to subscribe, eventually leave a like if you like the video, or even leave a comment, that's even nicer, or have a request. That would be great to hear from you. But please support our work by subscribing. Thank you so very much. That would be such a favor to us.